Hey people. So, I was struggling to figure out what it was that I was going to talk about today. Not because I don't have anything that I want to talk about, but because I have so many different things that I want to talk about. So many things that I've thought about, that have crossed my mind, that I haven't yet thought about in depth enough to articulate it, I think, properly. I have so many thoughts about so many different things, and I want to make sure when I'm podcasting about it makes sense, because a large part of podcasting, you gotta make sense, right? I don't know. But right now, actually, I'm in my car. I've been really craving the outdoors, really wanting to be outside, and you might be like, what are you talking about? It's February, it's freezing. No, I'm in Florida, and in Florida, it is a beautiful 85 degrees. I'm one that likes the change in seasons. I like fall, I like winter, I like whatever, but it's 85 degrees in February. Yes, I'm wearing a t-shirt and loose, whatever, who cares? I'm craving the outdoors. So I'm outside. You can't really podcast outside because the wind will ruin the audio, the sounds of outside will ruin the audio. You'll still probably hear the sounds from outside because I'm outside, the birds. You're like, what are you talking about? See, I told you I don't really know exactly what I was going to talk about today. I actually recorded earlier, and I was going to talk about introversion guilt and things like that, but it seemed kind of heavy, and I didn't really want to talk about a heavy topic. It wasn't heavy, but it's just I don't know, it didn't match my vibe, About 5 minutes ago, I had the idea to kind of just ramble about imposter syndrome, because I feel like I am suffering from that right now. I don't know if it's because I'm working on so many different things, that being, for one, my degree, college, 2, my art business, trying to get that up and going, 3, just being an artist in general, painting all the time, 4, podcasting, 5, trying to work with and be consistent with my YouTube channel. And for a while, I had no idea what imposter syndrome was. People were talking about, maybe a year or two ago, people were talking about imposter syndrome all the time. Oh, I think I have imposter syndrome this, imposter syndrome that. And I never really took a deep dive into what that was. One, because it somewhat sounds serious, a serious thing. But I don't think it's as serious as it sounds. So I decided today, I'm serious, even up until today, I kind of had no idea what imposter syndrome was. And I decided to do a little bit of a research on what imposter syndrome is. And let me tell you, I still kind of don't know what the definition is. I'm grappling with it. Is that the right word? Grappling? Imposter syndrome. As a creative, I feel like I deal with this a lot without even knowing. Not even labeling it as imposter syndrome. I think I deal with these feelings a lot, and the definition that comes up as soon as I look it up on Google is when an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Now I don't think I'm a fraud, okay? I don't think I'm a fraud. But there's a few things that kind of, I don't know if I feel like I've reached or am reaching my full potential on, I'm a painter. I've been painting for 6 years now, and even calling myself, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, listen, I told you I'm in my car, my windows are down, and I'm kind of under a tree, and there was this big leaf that fell, and I thought it was a bug, and I have an extreme irrational fear of insects, and the fear is totally a phobia. It should be categorized as a phobia. I can't handle any flying insects or insects in general. I can't even remember where it was. What was I saying? So yes, I have been painting for 6 years now, and I even feel strange considering myself a painter. I feel like that's a title that I have not earned yet. I feel like I shouldn't even call myself a painter, an artist or something. We had to watch a video in one of my painting or my art classes, I guess, and it was an assignment for homework, and it was a documentary, an old documentary, and there was this artist that was talking about how he finds it funny how anybody just calls himself an artist and they haven't really accomplished anything, and they haven't done anything inspiring with their artwork, and they shouldn't call themselves an artist. They haven't earned the title. It's a title that you earn. And it's laughable that people want to just call themselves an artist because they pick up a paintbrush and paint something. And that kind of like hit me, like, so maybe I should stop calling myself an artist. Maybe I should stop calling myself a painter. Because am I really? I mean, yes, I've been painting for a while. Have I done anything yet inspiring with my artwork that has changed people? Not that I know of. I mean, I post my artwork. Some people have sent me a DM saying that my artwork inspires them, which I appreciate so much. But it's still like, do I call myself an artist? Do I call myself that? Like, what level of, what do I need to achieve in order to consider myself an artist? Where do I achieve that? And what point do I have to get to in order to call myself an artist? Am I ever going to feel that point? Because I feel like if you always know that you can do better, if you always feel like that you can do more, then are you ever at that point? I don't know. And then I also feel like if you're like a creative, you might understand me, but art is subjective. So why can't anyone be an artist? I feel like art can be literally anything. There's an art piece, a famous art piece that's literally a urinal, and someone put their name on it and called it art. Are they an artist? They changed people's minds about things and inspired something. I mean, I think anyone can really be an artist. That's the point of art. That's the beauty of it. Anyone can create anything. But that whole like documentary kind of like hit me and was like, am I even an artist? Like, what am I doing? So fast forward to right now, I am having a lot of trouble creating. And I don't like saying I'm in a creative block, because that kind of just like solidifies it, and it's like, okay, I'm in a creative block. I can't create right now. I'm trying like my best to like be able to create, but for some reason I can't. And here's the thing, I feel like I can't paint without a reference. I need a reference in order to properly, because I do more, I guess, of realism, but not like hyper realism. I paint more realism, real things, real people, clothing, and things that are supposed to look like they're mimicking reality. I feel like I need a reference in order to do that. And I'm like, well, would a real artist need a reference? Or am I faking it? Am I like, I'm just copying. I'm not creating anything new. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like sometimes when I'm in a creative block, or when I feel a creative block coming on, I'm really doubting my, like, I guess, my instincts when it comes to being a creative. Like, yeah, I can look at a picture and paint it. I can look at a picture and draw it. I can look at a photo, like, but if I didn't have that reference there, could I do it? Am I just going to shut down and shut off? And honestly, I don't think the answer is yes. I think I could create something new. And sometimes I even have a fear of putting my phone down and saying like, oh, you have to go paint, and don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about it mimicking real things. Just paint and see what you come up with. That's my dilemma. That's my predicament when it comes to like imposter syndrome with my artwork. Now with school, we love school. School is great, right? Learning. Yay. I like learning, if I'm being totally honest. I do like learning. I enjoy learning. I always have. So imposter syndrome when it comes to school. I feel like when you go to college, you're supposed to be excited. You're supposed to be so excited, so ready to sit down and study for 4 hours straight. So ready to take exams and quizzes and do well on them, and be ready to socialize at college. And people are going to ask about it. People are so, like, they're just going to be like, how's college going? Do you have any, like, what are your friends like? Do you have a boyfriend? Like, how's, like, I'm talking about, like, people who, like, family members and people who once went to college. They're going to ask these questions. And sometimes I feel like I'm totally obligated to say, it's going fantastically great. It's going awesome. I love it. It's going great. It's never been better. And I feel totally obligated to say that, because anytime I've hesitated to say, college is college. It's, nothing great, nothing awesome, but it's college. It works, it's fine. I feel like I've been given like weird looks, like, well, what do you mean it's not great? Or what do you mean it's okay? It's not perfect, you know? So it makes me feel like I'm totally obligated to say that college is great, and I never really go in depth about like how college is really, it's just an experience, you know? So anyway, I feel like I'm supposed to say these things, so I do say that college is great, college is good, college is fine, it's great, I'm having a good time, you know? And I feel like I'm faking it. I feel like, you know, at some point it's gonna come out that I don't like, I mean, I was never a college person. So sometimes when I'm at college, I feel like a bit of an imposter. I'm not someone that loves it, and I feel like when you're there, you're supposed to love it. But in reality, no, you don't. And you can tell people that, but people just aren't always going to understand that, you know, it's not maybe the best 4 years of your life, you know? Let's talk about social media. Oh my gosh, I just talked about social media, and y'all are gonna be like, she talks about social media way too much. Like, she needs to back off of social media. So this is like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I post a lot on all of these platforms, right? I post a lot because I'm trying to build a foundation for my artwork and my podcast and everything like that. I guess that's what I'm trying to do. And there's other people who have been on social media, and it looks like from my point of view on my side of the screen that they really know what they're doing. Their social media platform looks on point. It looks great. It looks neat. It looks aesthetically pleasing. And I feel like I just like post things to just like get it out there and like get it done, you know? So it feels like, I feel like deep down, like I'm very interested in social media. I'm interested in algorithms, analytics, and what reaches people and what people are interested in. I'm really interested in that. And I enjoy putting my work out there and things that I've worked on and things that I'm passionate about. I enjoy it. But sometimes I sit back and I'm like, do I even know what I'm doing right now? When I'm posting these reels, I post these reels all the time. You know, it gets views here and there. Some get more than others. Some get none. Some will literally get 50 views, and I worked on it for like 20 minutes. And I posted, it gets 50 views. That kind of sucks. But then I just sit back and I go, what am I doing right now? Like, what is it that I'm really passionate about? Am I passionate about posting reels and TikToks? Am I passionate about that? Or am I passionate about my artwork? And it makes me question my artwork. Like, okay, well, no one seemed to care about this painting that I posted. So am I an artist? I don't know. Listen, I have no like itinerary for this podcast episode. I just knew that I wanted to record today. I also felt a lot of pressure on social media when it came to like trends, right? I look at people, like some people that start a trend. How does it feel to start a trend on social media? Like a transition that people like love to use to a certain sound, to like, or a really funny, like a actually funny thing, like a video that's genuinely funny. Like, you know those like meme videos that are like, oh, like they say like a situation and it's playing music in the background, or someone that's making up a skit. Like, y'all are creative. Like, I love it. But then I feel like I can't even wrap my head around thinking of these ideas. It's like, where do you guys come up with this? Because this is genuinely funny, and it's making me laugh. It's making other people laugh. Where do y'all come up with this? And those are people that are really good at social media. Like, those are the people that are really good at it. And sometimes I sit back and I'm like, am I that creative? Could I do that? I don't think I can. Like, because sometimes I sit there trying to think of a caption for a video, and I can't think of one. And I just don't post, you know? And I'm sitting there trying to think of a concept to post about that might make people laugh, that people might relate to, but I can't think of one. And I'm just like, I must not be that creative of an individual. Even with podcasting, when I wanted to podcast, I didn't even know if it was really possible to do a solo podcast. Of course I know people do it, and usually I feel like usually when people do it, I feel like it's educational, it's you know, something like that. I didn't know how to do it casually. And then I tried to start venture out and listening to some solo podcasts that people have, and it kind of gave me some more ideas. It kind of started to make these ideas flow a little bit more. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I do have some ideas that I want to talk about. I'm so sorry, I'm outside. But would I have known that if I didn't do the research? Like, would I have been able to do a solo podcast like I'm doing right now if other people didn't do it first? Like, am I one to think of new ideas? Or do I just kind of like need someone to lead the way first? You know, I don't want to be that type of person. And that's all inside of me. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I feel like, especially in the world that we live in today, where everything seems like it's been done, it's kind of hard to like think about a new idea. Everything looks like it's been done already, you know? And even if you try to do it already, someone probably already did it, and you think like this is a brand new idea that no one has done before. Someone probably already did it. I think social media plays a huge role in that too, because first of all, without social media, we wouldn't know like what everybody else is doing. We wouldn't know all these ideas that other people have. Scrolling through social media all the time makes it hard to think for yourself sometimes. Make ideas for yourself. It just looks like everybody's done everything, and it's kind of discouraging. I mean, I'm thinking of it from a creative standpoint, like from a creative point of view, like painting. I also read that there's a few different types of imposter syndrome, and I want to figure out which one I am. Hold on. I'm on like a website called verywellmind.com. One is the super person. Okay, so it means believing that you must be the hardest worker or reach the highest levels of achievement possible, and if you don't, you are a fraud. There's another one that says the soloist, feeling like you need to ask for help to reach a certain level. I don't think that's me. The natural genius. If you don't get something right the first time, then you feel like you're not like really good at it, I guess. The expert. The expert is if you don't feel like you know everything about something, then you haven't mastered it. So basically, if you don't know every single step, every single aspect of a topic or something, then you haven't mastered it, therefore you're not really good at it or something. And then there's a perfectionist, which I think I might be. It means that unless you were absolutely perfect with something, that you could have done better. And that's kind of how I feel right now. I feel like I'm not doing enough, even though like I'm kind of meeting my goals. I'm like meeting some of the short-term goals that I've had for myself, which is being consistent with this podcast, and then also being consistent on YouTube, keeping my grades up, and stuff like that. Like, those were some of my short-term goals, and I actually am keeping up with those. But then again, I still feel like I could do better. See, that's a part of being an artist that I feel like you have to have in order to get better. You have to always feel like there's something that you can do better. And that's for any type of creative endeavor, I think. And that's kind of just how I feel. And I can't keep talking because I'm going to start like rambling, but that's kind of how I feel about imposter syndrome and how I think it's been affecting me lately. I don't know if anyone else feels this way. I mean, I'm sure somebody else feels this way. I can't be the only one that feels this way. But I don't know in which way. If you're a creative, maybe you understand me from that standpoint. If you're a college student, maybe you understand me from that standpoint. But I feel like there's so many different ways to feel that, especially nowadays when we're taking in so much information and we're seeing so many people doing so many different things that it's kind of hard to measure our own skills and our own, I don't know, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm done. I digress. Thank you for clicking if you have. I appreciate you listening to this episode. If you have listened this far, I would love if you left a little review on my podcast. I would love to know what you think. And if you want to follow me on my socials for this podcast, my TikTok for it is called Introverts Talk 2 Podcast, just spelled right out, just like the podcast name, and Introverts Talk 2 on Instagram without the podcast at the end. So I would love if you followed those. Let me know what you think of the podcast. My name's Kirsten, and I hope to have you back listening to the next episode. Okay, I'm done. I digress. Goodbye.